this journey we'll guide inside the ride where we fly. Virtual roads touch the sky. Join us here, don't be shy. Inside the ride, yeah, we hide.
Welcome to episode 19 of Inside the Ride by MyWhoosh. It's me and Matt once again for another show. Matt, how are we doing?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you?
Yeah,
I've had a good week, actually.
Yeah, you've had a good week. Or are you asking me if I've had a good week?
Yeah, either or whatever.
Well, I've had a good weekend. I'm a bit spent today because all I'm going to say is I'm going to make a comeback. This is the month where things change for me. So, yeah, I did Echelon on Saturday, SRC on Sunday, which was super good fun. I think we got to talk about that. And then I started my Tour de Monde OTR campaign for this 12-stage event today. So that was an interesting start with an individual time trial. So I'm glad to be sat down talking to you and taking in the protein and the fluids and the recovery. But I saw you were in SRC
Awesome.
as well this weekend.
Yeah, but before we even get into that, let's have a chat about the first message we got. Oh, this is too hard. I've been dropped in 7 kilometres. Is that really what happened, Mr. Simon? You were giving it some chat about, I've got a fast new haircut, I'm coming back, I'm all good. It all went, the lights went out. Yeah,
I tell you what, that start in Cat 4, that start in Cat 4 was rapid. I know I've said this before, but the racing is realistic. When people put the foot on the pedal and it's strung out, as you see on TV in those Grand Tour stages, that's what happened on Sunday. And I was at the wrong end of that for 9 minutes. And then after 9 minutes, I could not hold on any longer. And then we hit a segment. Everyone sprinted, and I got spat, and then spent the rest chasing back on, and got just formed my own little social group then with about 7 of us. So I got top 30. I was happy with that.
I'm waiting for the request to come back to Cat 5. Well, Cat 5 was awesome. I put in a stalling performance for I think I got 4th in the end. I yo-yoed and I was in all sorts of trouble, and Jono Cridland and Mark Dadson were attacking, and I'd try to get across because being a bit of a sprinter, I could bridge a little bit, but I'd get 3/4 of the way there, and then I couldn't quite get there, and then I just kept harder and harder and harder and harder, and then we all came back together. And then in the finish, I let them go because they went early and thought I'm going to come at them here, and didn't get there. I didn't get there by a long way, 4 seconds, I think, in the end. But it was as much fun as I've had on a bike for a long time. I thought the course was great. I think that we'll talk about some of the segments and that today. But I think we've made a good move here. I really do. I'm really comfortable with what we've done. And before we get into the bad stories of the week, so I've got a couple of those as well. Let's give a big shout out to, I think it's Olga in Cat 6 women.
Yeah.
So Olga now holds the record, 3 hours and 47 minutes to complete SRC on Sunday in Cat 6. If you're going to that level of effort to get out there and do that, hats off, congratulations. I'm going to say that your day was harder than anybody else that raced. I hope we see you coming back. This week, unfortunately, is going to be harder, but not quite as long. And the ladies going up the end here at Telmarib is really going to be tough. So, yeah, look forward to seeing Olga out there again. So well done. Hats off there. But I've got to have a chat about our week or my week here. I went for a ride on. It was New Year's morning here. So New Year's morning everywhere was Wednesday morning. I went out the gate in the little area that I live, and the gate shut too quickly and launched itself into my rear zip wheel and put a crack in it about this long. So that was the end of that day, and I've kicked the wheel and spat the dummy, and I got home, changed the wheel, went for a ride, came back. And I sent a message to Bart, our relationship manager here, who I'm pretty good mates with. We ride a bit together and all of that. I said, mate, seriously, look at my life, and just sent him the picture of my broken zip wheel, in which he returned. It's not as bad as mine. In a neck brace, he's crashed his mountain bike at Hadariat. He's fractured vertebrae, crushed some things, got 2 pins now in his back, 1 million screws, 6 broken ribs on one side, 2 on the other. So speedy recovery, mate, from everyone. I'm sure everyone listening and supporting MyWhoosh that knows you. Not the best news for everyone, but he's had a 7-hour operation. He's on the mend. He's standing up. All the positives are there. Everything works as well as what they did before. So we're not going to say that they worked well beforehand. But yeah, so been an ordinary week there, but then we headed into the weekend and SRC and a few things happening around the place. So yeah, all in all, a few negatives, but some positives out there.
Yeah, so I think, I shared a few messages with Bart, and I say your cracked zip wheel was nothing compared to the pictures that we've seen of Bart. But he is making a speedy recovery, and he seems in good spirits in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's, hats off to him for that. And he's a strong, fit guy. So hopefully he'll be back riding soon as well. So all the best to Bart. But you mentioned SRC, right? And it was fun. And I've had a few. I've had a month off SRC, a month or so. Let's put it that way. But I really want to come back because I thought the racing was going to be super dynamic. And there's been a lot of chat, Matt, about these segments and what would happen and so on. It's no secret that I love races where you've got FTS. Because this is my view, Matt, right? And tell me what you think in a minute. But my view is if you've got first across the line on these segments, there's a risk that the same person is going to pick up those points, right? Let's just pick the men, and I'll pick a name. Jason Osborne could potentially just ride off the front, time trial away, and pick up every first across the line segment that's on the route. FTS gives a chance for everybody, and we saw that this week. There was people in my group, there was people behind me, and I could see the watt spiking on the rider list on the right-hand side as we went through it, to chase those points, chase those cash prizes, and pick up something for their efforts as well. So I really like it.
I agree. Look, not everyone's like me can get a top 10. Like yourself.
Subtle.
No, look, we got an email from one of the racers saying, "Oh, this is a terrible idea, and it's encouraging people to sit off the back and then sprint for a preem and that type of stuff." And I went home and I read it and I thought, "Oh, is this complaint right?" And then Zach Nair messaged, and he'd seen the email as well, and he said, "Oh, this is my view." And I had to think about it. And firstly, we want something for everybody. Okay, so if you are off the back and you're a bit of a sprinter or you like your chance at one of the KOMs, go for it. There's something for you to race for, number one. Number two, again, if it is first to the segment or first to the line like we had in the World Championships, the strongest person is generally going to get there, or they're going to attack early, tear a race apart. Now, if it was Cat 1, maybe that works better. But as we head further down the categories, what I don't want as a very average racer, if I move my way up to Cat 4, which is the goal for 2025, I'm going to be midfield, 10th to 20th at best. That's as good as I'm going to get. But I want to be able to have something to look forward to, something that's a bit of fun, something. And if the front guys are just attacking 4 kilometres out, I'm going to get dropped, right? And then I'm riding, like you did on the weekend, 43.5 kilometres by yourself. Or was it 9 kilometres you stayed? I wasn't sure. 7, 9, anyway. You're riding that by yourself because someone's attacked and gone all out to get first to a line, and the weaker riders get punished. Now, if the weaker riders sit back and try to sprint from the back of the group or whatever, and I've got to be honest, we did the aquarium climb, and actually, I should know the course better, but we were about 4 or 5 kilometres before the aquarium climb, and I saw the graph up in the top corner of the thing or wherever it is in the game, and it's heading up like that. So I started dropping to the back thinking, I'm going to try to do this here. What I did was I got 50 metres off the back, then realised it wasn't aquarium climb, and realised that I got a chase to get back on, and I'd hurt myself by the time we got to aquarium climb. But I was even thinking, hey, I might be able to get this preem up here, right? Not something I would ever normally even think about doing. And I think that if we open that up for everybody, if even 15 or 20% of the racers think that there's something that they can go for no matter what their position they're in, it's great. I think it's great. Like I said to the verification guys, if somebody has won preems along the way, and we'll call them preems, they've sprint or KOM, and they've run in the top 3 or 4, that's a pretty good ride. Like that's a solid ride. Let's see how the numbers fit in. Let's see where all of that is. Maybe are they fitter than others, those type of things. And it's not going to change the categorization, but it gives us a baseline on probably who's the strongest person. So, you've got, I think John O'Cridlin in my category won a couple of them, and I think he won or got second in the race. I think in some of the other categories, I think Oliver Simeons, I think in Cat 2 was well back, but I think he got 1 or 2 of them. So I think the guys that were dropped in Cat 2 actually got them. But don't forget, if people have been dropped or a long way back or are sitting up, there's not as big a draft or as big a group to ride through as well. So I don't think people are deliberately just riding at 15 kilometres an hour and then sprinting as fast as they can, because they're not going to get the fastest time anyway.
It's really interesting you mentioned that there, because a couple of the Belgian guys, we've seen this Aber Synergy team start riding the SRC as well, right? So you got Tugels, Dons, Olivia Simmons, as you said there as well. And I think this format with these segments, the team could really work together, because we saw Don also just going for every single segment there. So I think this could lead up to more team play as well. You've got a team that you could say, right, in that team, for example, Tugles is the FTP man. He's the man who's going to get up those longer climbs, time trial, can hold on to the end. He's going to be, top 5 in the GC. I'm guessing that's what he was this weekend. But then he's got other riders in that team who could pick up those segments. And I hope we see more of that, the team play. And certainly in my team with the level guys, that's been a lot of the chat happening this week as well. Right, I know I can't get to the finish. This is not me talking. I mean, I know I can't get to the finish, clearly. But, I can do this. I can help this. So I think this will be interesting how that team play rolls out with this new format as well. And not just for the finals that we've traditionally seen, but in these qualifiers as well. So I think it's going to be interesting. And just having this variety of routes as well will help as well, I think, because everyone knows how I feel about Tel Marib, but I was super excited about this week. Now I'm excited about Tel Marib.
Yeah, I had to think this morning about changing it to Heritage, but we're stuck with Tel Marib. I think it's just what we've advertised and said we were going to do. I would have liked to have broken it up where I think what we've done has gone easy, harder, hard, ridiculous this month, where we probably need to mix them up a little bit moving forward. And the guys upstairs are looking at designing some courses, so we've got a little bit more of a variety month to month. So it's not just those same loops, right? So might be similar terrains, but not similar loops. But I thought that was a great course on the weekend. For me, the aquarium climb's just a fraction too long. I think for most people, it's just that little minute and a half longer than it needs to be. I think most people got through Liwa Desert quite well, and then you hit Bahrain, and it's sort of, you get to the end and you've got to fight and hang on. So I think it was a bit of fun. I think we've got this right. I really feel SRC will have 500 riders within 3 months. That's where I think we're going to get to. I can't see any reason why we can't do that. And look, for some of the ladies, there wasn't even 10 starters in Cat 6.
Yep.
There was not many starters in Cat 5. I think there was 8 prizes awarded in Cat 6. My wife got annulled because her power meter didn't read as it should, because as you would learn, you need to calibrate your equipment before you start the event.
Yeah, indeed.
And that and a knee injury and a single-sided power meter gave some horrible readings. And so she can qualify through some other races. But I think with this, we're going to be a little bit tighter with some of the verification. So we did annul a few more people this month, but we've got a lot bigger team working on this now moving forward. Yep. We've got a lot more going on. We've got all this Power Passport stuff. We've got the Echelon stuff. So, yeah, this esports piece, it's really kicking off for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, of course, there's a lot of new riders turned up as well. There was a big field in the men's this week. I didn't see the total number on the ladies, but I know the men's field, there's a lot of riders there. And I remember when I first saw it, it's a learning curve. I've got a little note now on the wall here that says, remember to connect your secondary, because I think that first month I forgot to do it twice. So, and you've got plenty of opportunities through the month to get that qualification done.
Yeah, and the funny part is you find on the finals, you actually get no one to annul because everyone does all of those small things right. But in the qualifiers, I think we had 6 people this week that didn't connect secondaries. Yeah. Unfortunately it happens. But no, we changed a few things in the verification. We've got some new things that we've put in there for this year as well, which is very interesting. We can certainly see some different data that we hadn't seen before. I won't go into what that is, but we've got a new view on some things that's happening. It's going to help with categorization as well. We're working on, and Michael Plantero, I think is how I pronounce his name. Michael does not like the draft in our game because he's very small. And not very heavy, but makes really high watts per kilo. And he complains that there's sort of gross wattage issues. But it comes down to, if you ride Tour of Flanders and someone's doing 450 watts on the front and you can only do 300 and even 7 watts a kilo, you're not going to hold the wheel, right? That's just unfortunately how it is. Yeah. But we're going to add some sort of standardization factors into our categorization. So we're going to say if it's a course that is like last weekend and you are more than X amount of kilos with X amount of power, what category should you be in versus someone that is 60 kilos with X amount of power. So because Rod, our physics expert, is moved permanently now to Abu Dhabi, so Rod's going to work on that. So we've got a few positives coming there, which is, I think, sort of helps some of those. The problem's not the heavier riders.
Yeah.
The problem is unfortunately for the lighter riders. But I come back to my race on the weekend, and Mark Dadson, I think Mark ran second or third, I'm not sure, but he was the strongest in our race. But he's a big guy that makes big gross power. But I'm not. We can't put him into Cat 4 this week just because he was the strongest on a flat rolly course. Because come the finals, Paul Mark's going to be climbing for 55 minutes up that climb in 11th or 12th place. So it's a bit of a balancing act. We can't make all decisions based on 1 week.
No, and it's not perfect. It's an evolution, as you've said there, but I think it's come a long way. And just coming back to my racing on the weekend, I did echelon. You know, if you've got a big dude on the front who could put out big raw power, whether it be outdoors on the roads or whether it be on the virtual roads of MyWhoosh, if they're putting out 150 more watts than me, I'm going to struggle to hold that wheel. I don't come into my own until we hit the climb, you know, and that be both in MyWhoosh and in the real world. So it's not this, you know, mystical, magical, sticky draft that's, you know, you could just back off and hang on in there. You've got to work, you know, and that.
Yeah, and we've always said that we want this to be as real as possible. Yeah. And other platforms, and I always talk about entertainment, right? And I think that's what we're in, except I don't want entertainment to overtake what is cycling, if that makes sense.
It's a balance.
And creating entertainment means that everybody hangs on in the group and, you know, has a chat and whatever, and that's great. And I'm not against that in any way, shape or form. Should that happen in group rides and in free rides and stuff, maybe we should have different draft characteristics to help people entertain and enjoy their rides a little bit more. But come race day, it's got to be race day.
Yep.
And I don't want to run fourth in Cat 5 based upon a fake draft or being sucked along at the back of a group all day. I went to hell and back to do that. I don't want to sit in and get dragged along. I don't think anybody really does. So we want the best bike riders and the strongest and the fittest and to work their way through and get more prize money and do all those things. And I think the only way to do that is to have as realistic physics as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to talk about a few other events as well. We've spoken about SRC there, but there's so many other events happening as well. I mean, you and I looked at one of the crit races this morning. Just one of the regular random crit races, and there were 64 people turned up to a crit race on a Monday morning or a Tuesday morning, whatever it is. So it's really a lot happening here as well. I mentioned the Echelon Racing League. That was on a pan flat course, and 40 minutes or so, something like that. It was tough. But of course, the Echelon Racing League, Matt, is leading up to the national championships of the USA and Canada. Now, I'm not sure if you've seen any of these races yet, but the racing in the elites has been super interesting.
Yeah, I have. I've watched a few of them on some of the live streams and things that we've got happening, and I like it. It's the type of racing that I think we should have quite regularly as a support. And I don't mean that about Echelon, but these style of races need to be as a support for the SRC, and we need to work on some different timeframes around the world and have that realistic, regular racing stuff happening on MyWhoosh, rather than them just being sort of community events. If we can get these promoters and supporters like Echelon have, and I know we have others, we've got OTR and their things, and I think it just gives us all a place, it's 7 o'clock tonight, X racing is on, and we can jump on, and they're a flatter course, and they're 40, 45 minutes, 50 minutes, and we get out there and have a solid race, and I've got a team that can support it. We can categorise, and we can do as much verification as required or not required, and those types of things, and I think that's really going to not just grow our platform, which, by the way, MyWhoosh had its biggest day ever on Sunday.
Crazy busy. I saw it.
Crazy busy. Yep. Like crazy.
Yeah.
Never expected it busy.
Yeah.
And yesterday was about the same. So, it's great. And I think the racing is part of that. I think that SRC, whilst I think I said this to someone upstairs today, SRC has been painful for me many times. It's been a lot of hard work to develop it over the last, what have I had it now? Coming up 2 years in April. I took it over in April at the championships 2 years ago.
Yep.
And it's been a long haul to get here, and we've had positives and negatives and whinging and great feedback and all of those things. But I really think that MyWhoosh has been built on the back of it. For a long time, I didn't think that. I really struggled with, is it the right thing? Is it, all of those things. But everyone you talk to, whether they've raced it, they know about it. It's starting to really build that momentum. And I think it's great for the sport. But I think the echelons and the OTRs and all of these other things that you certainly own and are working on are now supporting that. And I know the Polish community is the same. We've got national championships coming up for Sweden, I think, in a couple of weeks, 3 or 4 weeks. So a bit of luck, I'm heading over. It's going to be televised live in Sweden, right? Who thought? So, we've got that coming on. And we had big Swedish representation at the World Championships, as we know.
Yeah.
So I'm going to head up there and have a look around, which will be great. Poland are doing theirs. We've got the USA and Canada. We're talking to a number of other countries to do theirs in the not too distant future. So there's some positivity coming out of it. We'll have some new stuff for the World Championships coming shortly. I had a little bit of a mess around with the course design today with Rod. It's a bit of a physics-based one, so might see how that one works. We got some gamification stuff. There's just so much happening. It's, we went through these steps and then it's just exploding up again. So it's good times.
When in pre-production, right, we're like, what are we going to talk about in today's show? And the list is that long of things we could talk about because everything you've just mentioned, and let's be honest, the next World Champs is going to come around pretty soon. We've got the Super Try coming up, which is going to be kicking off soon as well. I mentioned Echelon there. Have you given any thought to who might win those USA National Championships? Because I'm going to be dead clear, right? After the first 2 races, I was like, Hayden's got this. Hayden Pucker is going to win this. But then if I look at what's happening, Neil Freyet won this weekend. He was worked over a little bit by Team Next, which was super interesting. But it could be a wide open race. But then the women's race, again, Liz Van Helwyn, Elise Gallegos, Kristen Kolczynski, it's going to be super tight this year.
Yeah, it'll depend on the dynamics of the course. I know we were talking about the course selection a little bit earlier. Today they're using Dust Trail or something.
Yeah, Dust Trail, I believe so.
Yep. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. I think that, look, they've got to get rid of Neil in the men's race. Yeah. They take Neil to the finish, he's going to beat them, right? Plain and simple. It's how Neil qualified here to get to the World Championships. I think he was leading after stage 1. They're in trouble, right? I think if someone can temper Hayden down a little bit, I think he's probably going to win the bike race, right? If he just if he cruises in the back of the group until 5K to go and launches down the wrong side of the road, no one's following. Yeah, but that's not Hayden, right? And that's what everyone loves about Hayden. Hayden's going to attack from the gun, blow himself up, finish 45.
That's what it is.
Yeah, finish 40 minutes behind everyone. He had a blow up in SRC a couple of weeks ago and finished miles down.
I'll tell you a story, right? There's was it last week? We know Zach Neer is coach. And it was which course was it? It was the, what was the week before? It was in the Lula.
Yep.
Right, so Zach says to me, it's a 2-lap course. Zach says to me and Hayden and I discussed where we're going to launch our attack on the second lap. Zach said, 4 kilometres into the first lap, he already went. He just launched.
The
plan was out the window. I can only
imagine. Yeah, no, I agree. And I think, again, like Kirsten Kolinski is probably the best rider there in relation to SRCs.
Yeah.
But relation to these types of courses, very, very different outcome. And you've got Elise Gallegos, I always pronounce her name terribly. And Liz, I don't know Liz. I've seen a couple of races that she's done. She hasn't done too many SRCs, and I know she's had some IT problems that the team are working on. So it's all very open.
Yeah.
And then when we go up to Sweden and they've got some different courses and all the it's such a big sport for the ladies up there. Like, what do they have? 6 representatives at the World Championships, I think. So.
Well, they can't go out this time of year. It's just too much. I spoke to Lisa this morning, and she's like, it's got a foot of snow outside, so I'm not going anywhere. Might as well ride.
Yeah, well, yeah, it was snowing in the UK. It was all over the place lately. Not snowing here, though, but it's been cold. I've been wearing arm warmers and a vest out training.
Well, you're lucky you can even get out training. That's all I'm going to say, mate. You're not going to get any sympathy for a pair of arm warmers, mate, off me.
There's a bunch ride that we do that Bart organises, and his mate Mike here of a Saturday morning, so 140k. And I went out a couple of weeks ago, and they had there was one bloke had booties, leg warmers, the skull cap,
heart bleeds,
jacket, and gloves on. It was 12 degrees.
Was it really 12 degrees?
It's 12 degrees.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've heard about
Yeah,
that ride.
so,
That ride's pretty
yeah.
full gas though as well, right?
Oh, it's crazy. It's swap off. There's sort of three parts of it. It's sort of 25, 30K swap off in each segment of it. And it's quite hard depending on who turns up. It's hard, but it's part of my comeback strategy. But somehow I've got to do that and then back up for SRC. But my theory is if I do that, I really don't have to train during the week and I'll improve. So,
Yeah, I've
We'll see how we
lived
go.
by that for a while. There's a couple
Yeah.
more events I want to mention before we get on to the next topic, because I have got some questions for you, because there's been some teasers on social media this week. But first of all, I did promise that Lisa Hopkins, I'd give this event a shout out, and I think it really highlights what's happening in the community as well. And it's the Ladies Resolution Race Series. This is going to kick off in, I think it's January the 29th. Yeah, 8-week series, ladies only, 8 stages. So go and check that out. It's organised by OTR and Level. So really interesting. I think this is the first ladies-only community event with a multi-stage race that we've had on the platform. So it's really great that what's happening with the ladies there in this community are building their own events now. It's real progress.
Yeah. No, it's great. And I've had a couple of chats with Lisa via email and a few things. And look, what I hope, and it's not even from MyWhoosh's perspective, I hope that people join this with the effort Lisa's put into this. She's supporting MyWhoosh, which is fantastic. She's supporting getting more of your average rider out there and having a race and having fun. And, I think Lisa got a place in Cat 5 and was super happy with that on the weekend.
she was
I think
fifth.
she got dropped. There was 4 that maybe need to be recategorised, but that's a story for another time. And she had a great race out there, but it's about enjoyment. It's not about the elites. It's not always about the elites. And we need the Lisas of this world building the sport that we love. And so hats off to her. I really hope we get some people. I'll get to talk to the marketing guys and see if they can push some stuff out for this. But please, ladies around the world that are listening, or men that are listening with partners and things, even if they only jump on for one event for Lisa's efforts, that'd be fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, I want to ask you about a few other things, Matt, because I've been testing some new stuff here in the back end. And I don't know how much you want to say or share with the community, but there are some quite big things coming, and I think you're after some more testers.
Yeah, I hope I'm allowed to talk about this. I'm sure we'll cut it out if I can't.
Yeah, it might get cut.
Yeah, it might get cut, everyone. So, look, we've now set up some stores, another version of MyWhoosh in the stores that you'll see appearing in the next few days or a week or so. So that's MyWhoosh Beta. And we're going to push new releases and things we want tested in there. So it's going to have a separate login and a separate piece. It's got an amazing feature and functionality where if someone sees or notes something, they can actually push it and raise a ticket straight into our system.
Yep.
Which our customer service team is very grateful for. So we may even roll that out into the main production. But what's going to happen is we've been working for a long period of time on upgrading the engine that our system or game works on. I've got no idea what these things are. I don't know what they're called. That's fine. We've got a great team that does that stuff. And so I believe that it's going to be out in the next week or so. We're going to look for people to come on and test and give feedback on it. It's actually the exact same build that's currently in production. So there's no new features or anything in there. It's just sitting on the new engine that's going to really balance stuff out and better performance and all these stuff that I'm told about and believe in with the team. So I think that's a big piece for us. So everybody, there'll probably be an email or some things going out in the next couple of days to get people on there to give feedback and help us build it. As we always say, we're community-led, and the only way to do that is to push this out to the community. We also, then moving forward, I think we're going to do some of our releases now this way as well. We're supporting, this game has got so big, as everybody knows. We've got so many worlds, we've got so many features and functionalities. We've got 6 different platforms with iOS and Mac OS and Light and HD and Android, whoever uses Android, those creeps, Apple TV, all of those things. And not that we miss things, but things can change between platforms and testing and those sort of things. So if we're going to help get people to get on some betas and look at our new features and functions and tell us that they work. So there's the really cool stuff there. I'm also hopeful, can't promise this, but Season Pass number 2 should be out in the next 10 days or so. I'm really hopeful it's out before you or I or whoever talks to people next week. But it's coming. It's going to have the Season Pass, and yes, it's going to have a new world, and that new world, as we've spoken about before, against the advice of everybody here, it's going to be Japan, and it's fantastic. It's really cool. There's some great stuff out there. All the names out there are done, and I can't wait to start writing that. I'm really, really looking forward to that coming on. Hopefully, we can get an SRC on there maybe next month. So yeah, that's all happening, and then we'll go into the phase for the next releases not long after, and we've done the roadmap. We've pretty much got it agreed to. So there's so many things coming in 2025.
It's an exciting time, right? And you mentioned there about Japan. We've seen the social media hints, I think, this week with the blossom trees and so like that. But I think people underestimate our community, because as soon as we put that out yesterday, Mr. Kaminsky messaged me and said, I already knew it was Japan. He said, you put something out in November about season pass, right? And he said there was a small image there that had these sort of Japanese-style huts in there. He said, so I knew it was going to be Japan. So we've got a bit of a competition on who's going to be the first one to get up Mount Fiji on the day of release. So that's why I asked you that question. When is it coming out? When is it coming out? And I just keep saying soon, because I don't know genuinely, community. Only Matt and maybe some of the teams in the back end know when this is actually coming out. But I can't wait, because I want to be one of the first to get to the top of Mount Fuji, if it's there.
It's there. It's there. I guarantee you it's there. I know it's there because I was doing the naming, and it said name for Mount Fuji, and in the next column I wrote Mount Fuji. So I'm sure it's in the game. I'm not sure how long it is. I can't think. Maybe 15.8, 15.9 kilometres or something. I'm not sure. Look, I think it's a tribute to our team and the efforts that they've put in when you see the artwork in this one. It's amazing. And it's interesting. You look back at some of the stuff that I thought was great in the game, and you look at it now and you go, gee, that's nothing on where we're at. So it shows how the team have evolved and learnt new things. And I believe with this new change that we're doing, that this beta testing, it's going to get even better again. So yeah, it's super positive what's happening there.
I still like. I still hark back to those days when, those beta days almost. When it was new. I say the way the worlds feel. Some of those original worlds. And I rode Alula recently in Hudaria. And Alula was refreshed. And as you go through that sort of glass domed Alula with the waterfalls, it looks incredible. But that was, again, an evolution. That was a rebuild. Then you've got Hudaria, which changed again in California and Japan. It's really interesting. I still like that historical aspect, that we can still go and ride some of those original look and feel places. Even the music, because you know this, right? That we've got the original music when you load up the menu screen, but there's 3 other options now. And I just want the original music. It still gives me that sense of excitement that I'm going to ride.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
No.
You can select.
What I do remember though, when I first started here, coming up 4 years ago now, there was one route. They closed down one that was just like a loop around this little beach thing. And I think it was called Jungle Track. And it just went for miles and miles and miles and miles. It didn't loop back around, and it was hilly, and it changed gradient, but the avatars were quite small, and it was, just where the game's come in that period of time. It's just unbelievable. What the team's been able to do there, and this new one, it's awesome. And then we've got some more stuff coming, so there'll be more worlds released this year. I think there's 4 penciled in, because there'll be a new UCI route. We're not using last year's route. That's been confirmed. So in the middle of that design phase. Okay. Give you a tip: do not ask on the chat with all of the athletes from this year's World Championship, what would you like in the World Championship next year? That was a grave error on my behalf on Saturday night. I thought it would just be a little bit of fun banter. Didn't go that way. I think we had one person lose their temper and exit the chat. We had accusations of, you're just designing it for yourself, not for the crowd. And someone else is like, well, who else would I design it for? Learning from Matt last weekend. Don't ask the elite athletes what they want in the World Championship.
We say, right, we're a community-led platform, which we are, and we love that feedback. But the community view sometimes is so diverse, it's really difficult to hone that into a final decision, I guess.
The best was there was a couple of us that could see the humour involved in this, and as you can imagine, Hayden kept posting like he does.
Okay.
And then the best was I woke up on Monday morning. I thought this was hilarious. I'm sure I can share this. I've got a message from Lionel on Instagram, and he goes, "Hey, of course we couldn't make a decision. I went to ChatGPT, and this is what they're suggesting for the World Championships."
Desperate times.
And you know what? It was better than the ideas I come up with. So maybe AI is the way of the future.
Oh, absolutely. Well, talking of things you've been up to, you are back coaching with us.
Yeah, I did my first one today, and I had our illustrious Saeed Sayafraser join me for a ride this morning, our top Cat 1 rider.
Yeah, he was
and
second
a
this
couple
weekend,
of
I think.
others. Yeah, second this weekend just gone, and he's been top 5 for years and years. He's come in, we've tested him in the lab.
Yeah.
I've met him a couple of times. Quite a nice guy. And yeah, so I've decided I want to get out there. It's, look, can I be really honest? I'm getting paid to do an hour session here at work, so why wouldn't I do it, right?
There are worse jobs, Matt, right? So basically, your training now is the weekends, SRC plus your Saturday ride, and
Yep.
Tuesday, Thursday lives with Matt Smithson.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start. I might just start doing a couple of them, doing just a sort of basic 45-minute session. See if we get anyone. It's a great one. It's a 7 a.m. in the UK. It's 7 a.m. in Europe, I think. And then it's maybe 4:30, 5 o'clock or something like that in Australia, and 7 in New Zealand. So I thought we might pick up some of them, some of the early mornings, have a bit of a chat. If my coaching doesn't work out, then we might just take it into a bit of a free ride and a SRC review or a MyWhoosh chat or whatever we want to do. But I think it's... look, I love talking to our people. I love them joining in. Make a joke about it. It's great to be able to do it at work, but it's great to be able to chat to the community and learn some different things. And, I've got to ride the platform, right? If I don't ride the platform, there's things that I don't know and that I miss and that I see. And every time I jump on, and unfortunately from probably June last year through to November, I was rarely on the game with what we were doing here.
Yeah.
And I get back on it now and I just go, I didn't know it did that, and I didn't, and look at this, and this is fantastic, and we need to improve that. So it's great for me to force myself to get on, and hopefully some people can join and we have a bit of a chat.
Yeah, so your sessions, I think, early doors, sort of, well, it's very early doors in Europe, and maybe 10, 11 o'clock for you, which I think Kevin O'Pelly, actually, I noticed from New Zealand message saying, I wish I knew this was on, because it's ideal time for sort of Australia, New Zealand, so that's good.
I think it's 10, if it's 10 a.m. here, what's that, 7 hours to Australia, so 5, and then it'll be 7 p.m, I think, for New Zealand, which would be great to get Kevin, a few of those supporters on there, but I think that gives me, 5 a.m. for you? You're 5 hours behind me?
4 hours, so 6 a.m, yeah.
6 a.m, which is perfect. People getting up, get a ride in before work.
Yep.
Same in Europe at 7, although you did have a time malfunction today.
Let's not talk about
was
that.
Not sure that
I was an hour late, yes.
Everybody.
I confess.
Yeah.
That was because I had a really slow individual time trial with OTR. That's the excuse anyway. But Matt, don't take this the wrong way. You're not the only coach who's starting at the moment. Not that we need some backup and support for you, but we've got quite a bit. I mean, we've got Gabby Guerra is starting to do some coaching. So she's doing Wednesday, Thursday this week as well. Because she's a really inspirational character. And I will give another podcast a plug, actually. She did an interview with Chris Fenker on the Virtual Velo podcast this week. And I spoke to Gabby last night, and I said, Gabby, you said some things that really resonated with me. And I'll tell you what one of those things, I'm going to paraphrase a little bit. But she said in the podcast, it doesn't matter whether it's a World Championships or an SRC, my view and my mentality and my focus is the same. I don't really differentiate when I'm approaching a competitive event. I just get on and I race with everything I've got. And I thought, it just really resonated with me.
I tell you what, I listen to the podcast, as I do for most of Chris and Emma's podcasts, because I think Chris does a great job at supporting the sport that we're involved in. And I've met Gabriella a few times here at the World Championships. I had one conference call with her, and I was super impressed with her as a person, with the way that she answered the questions. They were well thought out. It wasn't planned, but she's a highly intelligent lady, very, very good bike rider, came across really, really well in that for our sport, whether that is on another platform or on this platform. And I know that she's been a big supporter on other platforms.
Yep.
I think she likes racing her bike. You can see it, right? There's some passion there. And look, hats off to her. I thought that was a fantastic interview. I thought Chris and Emma did a really good job. And if anyone wants to listen to that, jump on and listen. But her coaching is going to be cool, because even for me, right, I'm a little bit out of touch with what the top athletes are doing these days. And, I see some stuff in the data that we get in SRC, and I'm like, oh, what are they doing here? How's that happening or whatever? So I hope Gabby talks about what training she does.
Yeah.
Like, how is she improving? What's she doing to race really well for that 90-minute period on a Sunday, or 45 minutes in other events, or that type of stuff? So I might even try to jump on and do a couple of those, because I think that'd be really interesting stuff, rather than me drumming out stuff from the 1980s and old war stories. So I think hers will be a bit more entertaining than mine.
Well, it's a really interesting comment, because it's really evolution, right? And everyone's different. Let me just turn off a notification. Sorry, that's very unprofessional of me. But we're seeing this real evolution with the live coaching, right? Where we've got people like you and I and some of the other coaches, we deliver one-off sessions. And I'll be honest, I'm a little bit selfish that if I've got a VO2 session to do, I'm going to make the people in my session do that with me, because it's equally motivating for me to have these people in the group and inspiring each other as I hope it is for them. And then Gabby, I think, is just a really inspiring elite athlete, and I know a lot of ladies look up to her as well, and a lot of males at the same time. But then we've got people also like Annalisa Hall, Australian international time trial, I think, in the past, but she's come on the platform, who's really put this 10-week program together and schedule. So I think it really interesting how the coaches themselves are really starting to evolve this live coaching and utilize it for building these programs and it just giving back to the community is really cool.
And to me, what I hope happens with it is probably two things. One, people start to follow coaches, and Gabby's on this afternoon, or Matt's on this morning, and so I'll make sure I jump on there. But what I'd love to happen is, in the early days of other platforms that I've ridden on and things like that, I'd just go and scroll through, what's happening.
Yep.
I'll jump on that. Yeah, that sounds all right, or I'll free ride, or I'll do a workout or whatever. I'm generally not planned these days certainly these days in what I do. And I would love just the more regularity and the more coaches you build. I can jump on at 6 a.m. here when I get out of bed, and it's Annalise is on in 20 minutes. I'll do that, right? And I think that a lot of people will gravitate towards that as we get that happening. So, the more coaches we get, and, one of our prolific social media followers and commenter and racer, Eric Golden Boy Renberg, is joining, and he's going to do some coaching now. I don't know the guy. I love his support. I love his enthusiasm. What's he know about coaching? I don't know. But I tell you what, it's going to be fun doing the session.
It is going to be fun. So he's going to be doing Monday nights. So
I'm gonna stay out of bed for that. Like I see his posts about what he's cooked after SRC and his general excitement about all this stuff. You know what? That's what the community needs. That's what our platform needs. We're in entertainment, and he's going to entertain.
Well, the other thing about this is, again, beautiful lead-in, Mike. It's like we've done this a few times before, but we also said right at the start, these would be community rides, and community leaders could get involved as well. You don't need to be a coach with a sports science background to do that. We have those coaches. You got myself, Zach, Anna, Gabriella, and so on. But we've got Eric starting. We've got David Thompson as well starting on Friday. He's prolific in the dirt, the Dad's Indoor Riding Trainers group. So he starts on Friday. We've got Holly Bergin starting as well soon as well, who's got her own little following and community as well. So all inspirational, motivating people in different ways.
Yeah, no, I agree, but that's what we want. I don't think people... I think it's people that want the structure, but people that understand the depth of training and improvement, I think they will either do their own session or they'll be aligned to a coach, right? But I think if people can jump on, get a bit of entertainment, learn something new, see someone in front of them to motivate them, all of those things. And, I'm sure that some of these coaches over time will get their own Facebook pages. They'll have follow-ups on, you've done every one of my rides. Where are you this weekend? That type of thing. Then in between the peloton and the indoor cycling sort of world, I think this indoor coaching, live coaching stuff, it's fantastic. I just hope people utilize it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They're definitely getting busy, these sessions, which is great to see. And I've seen people live stream and all sorts. So, thank you for that. Matt, we've managed to wrap up another show, episode 19. We've covered everything that we had on this pre-production plan. Awesome.
No, it's been a good chat this week. I'm really... you go through your ups and downs with this. It can be a hard slog to to get the new releases out, to get everything right for all of our users, to keep SRC running, and we have a great team and all that here. But I was worn out after the World Championships. I was exhausted. But I haven't changed anything, but I've got excited. Like, what's happening here? There's a buzz again. We're moving forward. We've got these new worlds, this new SRCs, put a bit of invigoration into everybody. The live coaching kicking off. I really think 2025 is going to be big. I think we're going to continue to grow. And as always, I've had people, by the way, I've had people reaching out to me from the podcast. So people are listening to us, by the way. I get the odd Facebook message, or someone finds me on LinkedIn, or someone finds me all over the place, said, hey, I saw your podcast. Do you mind? I don't mind. Of course I don't mind. Reach out to me. I had someone said, is it okay if I write back and offer some suggestions about the game? And I'm like, mate, you don't need to ask. Just send me through your suggestions. So thank you, everybody that does do that. And look forward to having a chat again in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I think we're not hiding behind avatars. If someone wants to tag us in on any of those social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, what it is there, whether it's be me, you, Lisa, Phil, or whoever, we're always there to answer. So it's great. And you can always comment on the podcast themselves, whether you listen on Spotify, iTunes, YouTube, whatever it might be. Matt.
I've got one more. So people don't know this, but we actually have a MyWhoosh web store available now. So on the MyWhoosh website, if you go to shop, there's some cool stuff in there. Now, someone finally bought something. We haven't told anyone that this exists, by the way. So one of the guys in Australia, I can't remember his name, he bought the kit. He's put it on the MyWhoosh indoor cycling page. We've got a heap of orders for it since. We've had a couple of postage issues. They're now fixed. So you can get the MyWhoosh headband, you can get the kit, and the kit's really quite reasonable. In US dollars, it's maybe, forgive my conversion, but Knicks and jerseys about 150 US dollars. We've got the cool aero socks going on, so it's not super expensive stuff. We're not really profiting. We're not profiting on this stuff, really. We're getting it out there in the marketplace. That's why we're keeping it at a good price. It's pissé stuff. So get on, and because we get a lot of requests of where do I get a MyWhoosh jersey from?
Yep.
MyWhoosh.com.
It is good. It was Jason Caldwell, actually, who posted it up there. I remember seeing the pictures, and I think he was in shock that he did get shorts and not Knicks, Matt.
Yeah, because we said it was
shorts,
bibs, whatever you call them. Yeah, because the actual, I've got to fix it this afternoon. I was talking to the team earlier. The description says MyWhoosh jersey, and then there's an error code or something, and it's supposed to say jersey set. So I'll get that wording changed so it is bibs and jersey.
Let's go with that.
And it's not expensive. It's pretty good quality. It's all MyWhooshed up, and it looks quite good on people. I've got a set myself. I wrote in it this morning.
Are you saying it looks good on you?
There. Yeah, I actually didn't this morning. You know what I wrote in this morning? There was one jersey from the athletes left. I've already told you this.
Yeah.
There was one jersey left over from the athletes at the World Championships with the Abu Dhabi World Championships 2024. And I actually procured that jersey for myself. I went training in it this morning, and I felt really special.
So you had your own version of the rainbow bands.
I did, and it was a very, very big rainbow. Let's put it that way. So,
I won't tell the community what you did pre-show to make sure that your shirt was untucked. But
we can tell them. I had to move the pillow from behind me because the pillow was making the rolls look a little larger than they are. And I need to get down. 76 kilos is the goal. That'll get me midfield Cat 4 with a 10 watt FTP increase from where I am. So that's the goal this year.
So the goal is for you to join me in Cat 4, not me to join you in Cat 5.
100%. Cat 4 is where it's at. That's where I need to get back to.
Happy days.
That's the plan.
Brilliant. I feel we might have wandered off topic, but we brought it back to SRC. That's all good. But Matt, great show again. Thank you for joining me here, and we'll look forward to next week as well. I don't know who the guest is next week. I'm going to wait till marketing update us on that one. But thank you for joining us on Inside the Ride, episode 19. I've been Cy Bradley. This man next to me has been Matt Smitten, and we'll see you soon for another podcast.
Bye.
On this journey we'll guide inside the ride where we fly. Virtual roads touch the sky. Join us here, don't be shy. Inside the ride, yeah, we hide.